and welcome to Coffee Break Blogging, where you'll learn to grow and monetize your blog in short, tactical installments you can use right away. Now here's the next episode in our series. Hello there, David Risley here with another episode of Coffee Break Blogging. Now in these several episodes that we're talking about here on CBB right now, we're talking about membership sites and various aspects of membership sites. And with that in mind, we're going to jump right into the core of it right now, which is specifically how to set up a recurring membership. Because I know this one can be confusing for people. People get the idea of buying a course or buying an ebook or something like that. But when it comes to recurring monthly billing, people many times will get a little confused as to what they can do there, because you're under that pressure every single month to deliver something to your members that they actually will want to pay for on a monthly basis. So we're going to talk a little bit about that here in this episode. First of all, you probably realize by now the benefits of recurring revenue. And I really do think that most online business owners should find a way to build recurring revenue into their business. Okay? First of all, that recurring revenue provides predictable revenue, which is a really big deal when it comes to cash flow. You don't want to be out there constantly wondering whether you're going to have a hard time paying your bills. You want to know that every single month you can depend on a certain baseline of revenue, and that anything else that you might be doing at the time because of some marketing campaign or what have you is basically gravy on top of that. But you've got that baseline revenue, which is formed by your monthly recurring revenue. Or it could be annual. You know, if you have annual members, that's fine too. And you can work out the accounting on that, divide by 12, and you kind of have a net monthly. So you can still kind of have that baseline. But it's great to have that recurring revenue. The other thing is that it reduces your pressure to make continual sales. I mean, you're still, as a business owner, still going to want to constantly get new sales. So that's never going to go away, but it reduces that pressure because you've got that baseline revenue. You know, if you know that you're not going to have a hard time paying your baseline bills for the month, then, you know, you don't have to push quite as hard on your sales or your marketing campaigns. Now, obviously, you always want to get revenue up and all that. That never goes away, but it's just nice to know that when you have some marketing promotion that you're going to be doing, that your livelihood doesn't depend on its outcome. It's just kind of nice to know, okay? Now, if you ever looked at the chart of how recurring can build up, it really is something how it can build up. I mean, you know, just charging a base, you know, let's say $20 a month or something for a membership, and you know, you're going to have people coming in, you're going to have people canceling. That's just part of it. But when you work those numbers, that $20 sale can turn into a really nice monthly revenue stream, you know, and you just work those numbers. It's basically simple math. You know how many members you need in order to generate whatever your income target is. And then you have to take into account people who are falling off and canceling. So let's, you know, if you have a 5% monthly turnover rate where 5% of your members are canceling every month, then you just want to make sure that you're bringing in at least that amount of new members every month to make up for it. Or obviously you want to bring in more than that, so you've got actual growth. But it's a numbers game, and it's actually it makes business a lot more fun, but also a lot more predictable. And it's just a much better business model in the long term. It's a lot more sustainable. And, you know, launches are sexy. You know, people hear these stories about having, you know, huge launches with lots of revenue. Well, that's great and all, but you'll talk to many of those gurus who have done those big, you know, $1 million launches, and they'll tell you straight up, it's like a crack hit. You're still addicted to the drugs, but it's like a crack hit. You need it to pay your bills and pay your staff. But then, you know, a few months later, you're like, holy crap, we need to bring in some money here. We're going to just run out. And it's like, it's no way to run a business. It's no way to run a business. Okay. So all that said, let's get into actually like delivering a recurring membership. What are you going to deliver to give them a recurring membership? What are you going to provide to justify that recurring expense to your members? Well, The big key here, and it's real obvious when I say it, the big key here is to make sure that you're giving them more value every single month than what you're asking them to pay. Really, really easy, right? But the big thing there, though, is that it needs to be more than what they're being asked to pay from their perspective, not yours. You might think that what you're providing is really valuable, but if you're not properly communicating that value, or they're not seeing that value for one reason or another, that's a problem. So they need to see that you're giving them more value every single month than what you're asking them to pay. And then they'll stick around. And I say this for people who think that it's just much more difficult to sell a recurring membership. And I've heard that. I've thought it for a long time, to be honest with you. But then we let's get off the internet and let's look at the real world, and that all of us are paying recurring monthly bills all the time. Happily so in many cases. Now, some of it are for baseline utilities like electric. You will not stop paying your electric bill, right? You want electric. Then you look at your cell phone. Your cell phone, you're paying monthly for that, and you're happy to pay a little bit more monthly for that phone in order to not pay for the phone up front at the beginning of the contract, right? So instead of paying $800 or $900 for a phone, you might pay $100 or $200 or $300. But the exchange for that is that you're paying more on your monthly bill, and most people will do that happily. You probably are buying something like Amazon Prime or Netflix or your cable TV, which is definitely not, well, depending on your viewpoint, it's not a basic necessity of life to have cable television. You're doing it because you want it. It gives you more value for you than what you're paying. And that's the case on all of it. And if you can situate your membership program to where it works the same way, to where they see that they're getting more value every single month than what you're asking them to pay, they not only will join a recurring monthly program, but they'll stick around for a while, okay? So let's look at what will people actually pay for? What are the big categories here that people will pay more money for, that people assign value to them? I want to give you 5 different things here, 5 different general categories that people will generally pay more money for. The first one is speed plus convenience. Okay? People will pay to reduce the amount of time that it's going to take them to do something. They will pay for a shortcut. They will pay to make things easier. Now, this is a big one for those of us who are in the recurring membership or information business, because let's be real, there is a lot of information out there on the internet. There's no shortage of it. None of us are suffering from a lack of information, but yet people will still buy it, and they prove that time and time again. Now, is it because you're fooling them and they don't think it's available for free? No, they're not stupid people. They realize they can go to YouTube and watch some videos on stuff. It depends on the subject matter, obviously, but here's what they're really buying. They're really buying the structure behind it because it provides speed plus convenience. You could probably listen to podcasts like this, watch a crap load of YouTube videos, read blogs for the next few years, and if you're an action taker on top of that, you could probably build an online business. And you could do it without buying anybody's course. That being said, it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer. Not only that, you're probably going to be highly confused very often. And it's because as much free information is out there, it's generally in a very unstructured format, hard to find, generally kind of annoying, Whereas if you get into a course, it's all laid out to you in a chronological way, very clear, and that provides speed plus convenience. Okay, so keep that in mind when it comes to your membership, is you want to provide speed plus convenience. Keep in mind too that can translate into more higher value things. Like instead of just giving them a course, it could be a series of checklists or templates or things that they look at and they go, "This is an obvious shortcut." That's what you want. You want them to realize that they're getting shortcuts by being a member of your program. And however you can provide that you're going to be golden. Another thing that people will pay for is done for you. Doing something for them, removing a pain from their lives by simply doing it for them. Okay. Now, this will be different in every business. Not everybody who's listening right now is going to see a clear path to a done for you service of some kind. The other side of it is that maybe you just don't want to do it. I mean, I understand. I could provide a service where I design people's blogs for them. I just don't want to do it. Okay. So I wouldn't. But think about it in terms of whatever business, whatever market you are in, is there some level of done for you service that you could provide on top of that? You're providing something there that you're going to have the highest value placed on that type of a thing, by the way. This is why SEO companies can charge quite a lot of money every month, is because these business owners don't understand SEO, and the SEO company comes in and says, we will do it for you. They remove that pain, okay? So it works, and they pay for that monthly, recurring basis. They can work really well in a membership program, okay? A third thing that people will buy is status. People will buy something which is going to elevate them beyond their peers, which is going to make them look good in the eyes of their peers. Okay. So, and people will buy that. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do status, and you can kind of rig it in. You can do gamification inside your membership program where there's different, let's say, levels inside the membership, not so much about what they pay for, but things that they might have accomplished, or, like just off the top of my head, I don't have this inside the blog monetization lab, but if I had something inside the lab that took into account how much of the training they've gone through, but also what results they have had in their business and what wins that they've achieved, and I had some system in place where they check those things off and it elevates their status, then that would be a great thing. If there's something they can show on the outside, like, give them a t-shirt or something, or, something that has that community bonding around it, that can help bring people in as well. Okay. Another thing that people will pay for is a competitive advantage. Now, this sometimes goes along with the idea of speed plus convenience, but it's the idea of if you're in a market where you can give something to somebody that it's going to make them be able to probably have higher results than other people who are not in the program, then they're going to want that because it gives them a competitive advantage. It can be like a secret weapon to them. And that, of course, goes along with status as well, because then these people are going to have elevated status in their own communities, and they're going to be like, I have my secret weapon, and that could be your membership program. Now, obviously, it's going to depend on what business you're in, on how you could deliver that, or if you're going to be able to adequately deliver that. But that is definitely something that people will pay for. And then lastly, access to probably you, if you are the instructor. If they have a higher level of access to you, the ability to get on the phone with you or to ask you questions, people will pay for that. It's a strange thing on the internet these days. Everything has gotten a lot more dehumanized and anonymous. And I think people do crave a little bit more one-on-one contact. People work better that way when they've got a mentor in whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, somebody to help keep them out of trouble and keep them on the line. And if you could provide a level of that with your membership on an ongoing basis, you can build that into your recurring membership. Okay? Now, all of that said and done, you got to keep a couple of things in mind here for a recurring program. The first one is that value has to keep coming to them. It needs to not come to them in just one big spurt when they join, and then it's kind of like downhill from there. You're going to have to consistently deliver it, okay? The second thing is that you need to ensure that they actually use it. They've got to consume the value of the program. Otherwise, they're going to see that bill coming in every month. They're going to be like, I'm not really getting any value from that. It doesn't mean that your membership is not much more valuable than what you're asking them to pay. But if they're not actually utilizing it, then to them, it's not more valuable. They'd rather have their money. And so you've got to put systems in place to get them consuming and attending and actually utilizing the benefits of your membership, okay? Now let's talk a little bit about structure here of a recurring. This is my favorite structure. This is actually the way the Blog Marketing Academy works. And this is where you can get material for a recurring program, okay? So it works like this. It's very simple. You create products on a routine basis. In my case, they are the action plans that I sell, okay? Now, it would be different in the context of your business, but you need to prioritize delivery, okay? Don't prioritize writing more blog posts for free. You need to prioritize delivery to your customers. So you need to make and actually schedule it out, make priority out of creating deliverables to your paying customers. Now you set it up in your schedule to where you do this so that you can release a new product every single month. Okay? That's what you should do. Now, the way that it works then is that using your membership software, you could sell that product each month as its own thing if you wanted to, but then you have a global membership level that will include all of it. Okay? This is my favorite approach to a membership. So put it in the context of the Blog Marketing Academy. I've got several action plans, many action plans that are available at the Blog Monetization Lab. Now, a few of them are available to be purchased when you're not a lab member. There's a few of them out there where I offer a special deal so you can get just that one action plan. Okay, so they're front-end products. But the thing is, all of them are included in the Blog Monetization Lab. And of course, if you buy one of my action plans by itself, you better believe you are going to get an upsell into the Blog Monetization Lab in order to get all of them. That is how the system works. So you can sell these things separately as a front-end product, which if you go to the way the sales funnel works, it works beautifully. And then your core offer in this case is going to be the membership itself, where they get all of them. Now, by doing it this way and by just prioritizing delivery, you are going to be creating a new product every single month. At least for a little while. I mean, maybe you get to a certain point where you're going to, after a year or 2 years, and you've got that many products, you just start letting your older members kind of fall off the radar, and you start focusing on the newer ones, and you set things up on a drip feed if you want to, where they get things over time, and you do it that way. I mean, you set this up the way you want. It's your membership program. But that is a structure that I like a lot. I create at least one new action plan every single month for my members. And then they all go into the membership. That's what they're paying for. And then, of course, there are additional values. Now, another one that's really great for a recurring program is building in a sense of community. Now, in my case, I do this with a private Facebook group, and I notice a lot of other memberships are doing it the same way. Some people have tried to set up forums or even make a forum the main value of a membership. I'm not a big fan of that. Having paid forums is a lot more difficult than you probably realize. It's a lot more difficult. And if you don't have some other forms of value in there, if the main value that people are buying is a forum membership, they're probably not going to be that interested. Okay. But generally speaking, I look at community as a value add onto the main guts of what they're buying, which is the content and training and that type of stuff itself. Then you have the community there as a support mechanism. And do it that way. And because the community is constantly going, that provides a recurring benefit to the program as well. Now, another great way to do it is to create new tools for your members on an ongoing basis. Now, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, people love shortcuts. They love things that are going to give them a competitive advantage. Well, one of the best ways to do that is to provide something which is literally a tool to get it done. Now, that tool could be digital in terms of a checklist or a system or something like that, but it could be something better like software or something if you got that capability. I mean, you could hire somebody who creates some software that enables your members to do something, and you give that to them. I think of the Wishlist Insider program that goes along with Wishlist Member, and I don't know if they're still doing it, but for the longest time, they would create a custom WordPress plugin every single month and give it to their active Wishlist Insider members. It was beautiful. I stuck around that program a long time just for that. But you could take it into account yourself. I mean, if you're in like I don't know, off the top of my head, like a crafts business, you got a membership for people who are interested in some type of crafts. Maybe you could provide templates to them or stencils or what have you, and do it every single month. I mean, something like that. What can you provide them in terms of ongoing tools and shortcuts every single month? Another thing that you can do is ongoing curation, or what I like to just call outsourced thinking to your members. So this works especially well when you've got when you're in a field where the members are interested in doing something, but they just don't have time in their day to keep track of all the happenings. But that's your job. And so you can curate it for them. For example, if you were talking to an audience of stock traders, you see a lot of this where people will pay a recurring program to have highlights that would affect stock prices, or maybe even stock picks and different trading recommendations. And they pay for that. And it's because those members may not understand all the ins and outs of the market, or they just don't have time to pay attention. And so they pay on an ongoing basis in order to basically outsource their thinking to you. And so you could put that into context with many other different markets as well, where there's a lot happening. And one of the values that you're doing is providing that curation, that outsourced thinking to them. And you can do that on a recurring basis. Okay. So this episode's getting a little long here for a coffee break. So we're going to go ahead and call it a wrap at this point. But I hope you got some real value and some real ideas there on how you can set up a recurring membership site. We're going to talk more about that coming up here. The next episode, we'll be talking about how to actually sign up new members to a program. How do you sell them into a monthly recurring? But I want you to get your mind going around what could you actually provide to people on a recurring basis? How valuable can you make it? And then you start playing with what your monthly price point is going to be in relation to that. All keeping that key fundamental equation in mind is that you need to give them more value, obvious more value than what you're asking them to pay every single month. Okay? All right, we'll end it here. Thanks for listening to this episode of Coffee Break Blogging, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Coffee Break Blogging. If you like what you heard here today, we have something awesome we'd love to send you. It's called the Blog Conversion Guide, and it has 9 tweaks you can make to your blog in order to increase your conversion rate to get more opt-ins and sales. As one of our listeners, we'd love to give you access to this guide absolutely free. You can get your copy right now by going to coffeebreakblogging.com. Again, go to coffeebreakblogging.com to get your copy, and we'll see you next time.